Welcome back to another episode of our Kings related podcast, wherever you may be, in this recap of the Kings 108 102 loss to the red hot Portland Trailblazers on this Thursday evening from the Pacific Northwest up in Portland, Oregon. Tonight, I thought the Kings were better than last night, but they weren't good enough. So they got blown out last night by the Orlando Magic. And they gave this Portland team who came into this game the best team in the NBA since January 19th. 9-1 in the last 10 games. The best defense in the league in that stretch. And the Kings gave this Blazers team all they could handle in this game, but it wasn't quite enough as the Kings fall in the second game of the Zach LaVine era here in Sacramento. And we also saw the debut of the Kings' newest big man, Jonas Valanciunas, who had a fairly decent game, and he's going to provide so much that the Kings have lacked from a quality backup big behind Domantas Sabonis. But Zach LaVine, I thought he was better tonight because after Zach LaVine last night was 0-4 from 3. Zach was 3 of 9 from deep in this game. He had 22 points in this game. But the difference in this game was the 3-point shooting by the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers are 25th in 3-point shooting in the NBA. They made 16 threes in this game to the Kings. I believe they had, just looking here at the stats, the Kings had 10 threes in this game. It's been the same problem all season in every game. You let a bad 3-point shooting team let it rain threes against you. Look what happened last night against the Orlando Magic. And you let it happen tonight with Portland making 16 threes, shooting 40% from deep. And the Kings only making 10 of those threes. And a couple of those were called back because DeRozan had his foot on the line, and they took him away and made them twos instead. But that is the difference in this game. And also the story in this game was the Blazers bench again outplayed the Kings bench, and it was mainly Shaedon Sharpe, 24 points off that Blazers bench for this Portland team. 3 of 9 from deep, and he is a gifted offensive player. And, this is a Blazers team that they're on the rise. You just look at their team. You got Scoot Henderson, who's also a gifted offensive player. Anthony Simons, who's in his 7th season up there in Portland. Um, 30 points for Simons in this game, 8 of 12 from deep. For Simons, like just like this is what the sixth win in a row for the Portland Trailblazers, and like, hey, this is a Portland team. Like, it's not who you play, it's when you play them, and you do not want to be playing the Portland Trailblazers right now when they are red hot. And this is a Portland team on the rise here in this brutal Western Conference in the NBA. So just a few notes to mention from this game from a Kings perspective. You know, when you add like the Kings did here at at the trading deadline, you're adding Zach LaVine, you're adding Jonas Valanciunas, and you adding Jake LaRavia today, who you might see in the next game on Saturday. You know, and there is no practice. Like, there won't be a practice tomorrow. Like, your next like real like practice will come after the All-Star break here, which will begin next week, the All-Star break. So these guys, this Kings team right now, they are learning each other on the fly, and it will take time. But I thought Zach LaVine, even though Zach was better tonight, I thought I think he's settling in right now, and I think for fans, I think it's going to take time to learn how to play like that DHO action game with Domantas Sabonis. So just let it take time, and once you get that practice time, like, because you're not going to get none anytime soon, it's going to be after the All-Star break, then you'll see a much polished and much like cleaner, because I thought tonight there was a lot of stagnant standing around on the offensive side of the ball early in this game in the first half. So, you know, Zach LaVine, who's offensively gifted, having one of his best seasons of his career, that will come once he gets settled in. He's settled in tonight, but that will get going here once you get more practice time with each other and you learn one another. So that will take time. Malik Monk, I thought Malik Monk, after being in foul trouble last night, Malik Monk was better. He had a sick ass pass in that second half to find Keon Ellis for a fast break opportunity. Just amazing. And Malik Monk, he finished in this game with 21 points, 4 assists, and 7 rebounds in this game. And Malik Monk, he looked off the last 2 games, especially last night, being in foul trouble. But you can see him slowly figuring things out as the starting point guard alongside Zach LaVine, because right now the Kings don't have a true like starting point guard after trading away De'Aaron Fox. So the more time LaVine and Monk get together, we'll see that high scoring backcourt here in the not so distant future. Keegan Murray, I thought Keegan Murray was also better tonight. 12 points, 7 rebounds, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from three. So nice kind of bounce back game. But the last time Keegan Murray scored 20 points in a game was back in November. And he wasn't a factor at all last night in that blowout loss against the Orlando Magic. But playing against his twin brother tonight, Chris Murray, Keegan Murray, he did look motivated. So he did finish, as I mentioned, 12 points and 7 rebounds in this game. So, and Keon Ellis, what he brings off the Kings bench is that instant energy, and he only played 23 minutes in this game. I wish he played more because I thought the Kings really missed that in that second half and in that fourth quarter. He was an agent of chaos, especially on that defensive end. And maybe, he only finished with 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals, but he impacted this game. That goes if you don't look at the box score, because he did some things that would not show up in the box score, and I wish he played more in that second half. Domantas Sabonis, who fouled out in this game, finished 2 of 6 shooting, 14 rebounds, and only 10 points. Quiet night for him, but he's got to make adjustments as well to his game, just like everybody else on this team. But he did foul out in this game, so I thought his defense was impressive. Even though he picked up a couple of cheap fouls that you would want to see Sabonis stay away from. So he's actually on the floor helping his team out on the court. So DeMar DeRozan, 22 points, 7 assists, and 3 blocks for DeMar DeRozan in this game. And Mr. Fourth Quarter worked to set up his teammates early, but when the Kings needed to put the ball in the ocean, as I like to say, late in the game, Mr. Fourth Quarter, DeMar DeRozan came through in the clutch like he should be doing. So, and DeMar DeRozan, 37 minutes. He played the most minutes of any starter on this team. Again, 9 of 16 from the field for DeRozan. And then Jonas Valanciunas, I thought in his first game for the Kings, 17 minutes, quality minutes as the backup to Sabonis. 6 points, 5 rebounds. I thought he really made an impact that also goes beyond the box score. And you're going to see that what Valanciunas brings to this team is what the Kings have lacked in a backup big with size. So it was nice to see Valanciunas get some run in this game. But just like last night, how the Kings the Kings trailed by 2 last night, And then we know what happened in the second half. The Kings trailed the Portland Trailblazers by 4 at halftime. I thought the Kings, they started the third quarter off better um, in that third. But the real difference in this game was the 3-point shooting, as it's been every game this season. Again, Portland, 40% shooting the ball behind the arc. And that just can't happen if you're the Kings. And the Kings, with this loss, they fall one game under 500. And I just want to point this out. Not having Keon Ellis on that basketball floor at the end of the game was a big mistake, as I mentioned earlier, because I thought with the energy and with the chaos he brought in this game earlier, on the defensive end, I thought he really played a role in that. So I thought that was a mistake by Doug Christie, not having Keon Ellis on the floor late in this basketball game. So also, I thought the Kings, they shot better from the mid-range in this game. They were 11 of 22 for 50% than they did in the paint. So, and then the Portland Trailblazers, giving them credit. There's a reason why in the last 10 games, why they are 9-1, and in that stretch, the best defense in the league, they held the Kings to 32 points in the paint on 16 of 36 shooting. So it's, and then between the points in the paint and the 3 points in the Kings' poor 3-point shooting in this game, it's shocking that the Kings were in this game at the end of it, because the Kings did not shoot the ball well from 3. It's incredible that it was only a 6-point game, 108 to 102. So Kings lose. They fall one game under 500, and in a Western Conference that reloaded here at the deadline, the Sacramento Kings, coming into this game, they were 9th in the Western Conference. With this loss, they're still in the play-in, but they're 10th in the Western Conference. A game under 500. You got Phoenix, who are at 500. The Dallas Mavericks, 2 games over 500, and then you got Minnesota, who hold that first play-in spot, and then you got Golden State, who's 11th, and that's tied with Sacramento, and then you got San Antonio, who's 22 and 26 in 12th, and that the red hot Portland Trailblazers are there in 13th at 23 and 29, and it's gonna be like this for the stretch run. You got the Kings. You got a day off tomorrow, no practice, and then you got the New Orleans Pelicans on Saturday, and then you fly out Sunday morning, and you are in Dallas for a game Monday against the Mavs, and then you got a back-to-back in New Orleans against the Pelicans before the All-Star break. And this is where you adding these 3 new guys. There is no practice time to incorporate. Like, you are learning on the fly of playing with each other right now. But the Kings were better tonight, but not good enough. So Kings fall to the Portland Trailblazers, one game under 500. And just looking at the other scores around the NBA on this Thursday evening, you have the Dallas Mavericks getting a big road win. They won by 7, but the game does not indicate, the score does not indicate how close that game was. Um, Kyrie Irving gets his first win in Boston against his old mates as the Mavericks beat the Boston Celtics. The Denver Nuggets, they defeat the Orlando Magic handily 112-90. You got the Pacers who beat the Clippers tonight in Los Angeles by 7. Pacers get a bounce back win after losing to the same Portland team just the other night. The Lakers, they hold off a Warriors rally and they hang on to defeat the Golden State Warriors tonight. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, they get a big win at home, beating the Houston Rockets. So let's look at some of the scores around the NBA on this Thursday evening. I just want to mention some of the trade deadline moves that happened this here. Of course, you got Jimmy Butler, who goes from Miami to Golden State. I'll just say this. I don't think that move's going to do anything for Golden State. The only thing it does is I think it makes the Golden State Warriors older. Because, you got Draymond Green, who's on the backside of his career. You got Jimmy Butler, who didn't want to be in Miami for some reason. And you got Steph Curry. And you got a Golden State team who, with this move, they did their depth did take a hit with this move because you're giving up Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and Dennis Schroeder, who apparently that move did not work out for Golden State. A move that I did like, I thought was a solid trade, was the Cleveland Cavaliers getting DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks. And I think that move, I think Cleveland is the best team in the Eastern Conference. And I think that's really going to pay off for the Cavs here for this stretch run going forward. Kevin Durant, there were a lot of rumors about Kevin Durant, but he stays put in Phoenix with the Suns. You got Brandon Ingram, who is going to Toronto to play for the Raptors. So that's a solid move for Toronto and their rebuild process. Bogdan Bogdanovic goes to the Los Angeles Clippers from the Atlanta Hawks in a deal. And then you got Marcus Smart going from Memphis to the Wizards. And of course, you got the Kings getting Jake LaRavia in that 3-team deal. And I think Jake LaRavia, 6'8", wing, 3-and-D guy, something the Kings have lacked for a couple seasons now. So I think LaRavia is really going to help the Kings, especially with their bench depth and that wing position that the Kings have lacked here for a while. Of course, you got Kyle Kuzma, who's now in Milwaukee, with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So Kuzma is in Milwaukee, getting traded from the Wizards. Davion Mitchell, former King, now in Miami after the Raptors traded him to Miami. Dennis Schroeder is in Detroit. Nice pickup for the Pistons. KJ Martin is in Utah. Yusuf Nurkic is sent to the Charlotte Hornets. And the Suns receive Cody Martin. So that's a nice pickup for the Suns to get one of the Martin twins. And then you got the Indiana Pacers. They sent James Wiseman to the Toronto Raptors. And then the Hawks, they sent Cody Zello to the Houston Rockets. Nice little pickup for the Houston Rockets. So, and then you got the Daniel Theis getting traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, just some of the moves that were made, flurry of moves that were made prior to the deadline and on deadline day. But Kings don't get it done up in the Pacific Northwest as they fall to the Portland Trailblazers by 6. Kings are back home late tonight, and they're in action on Saturday against the New Orleans Pelicans, and we'll have another recap following that game right here on our Kings related podcast. But if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and we'll catch you on our next episode following Kings Pelicans on Saturday night. Go Kings.